Anne Frank was written by Anne Frank. She was of Jewish origin. She was one of the Jewish victims of the Holocaust, and she gained fame posthumously with her publication of the Diary of a Young Girl, in which she documents her life in hiding from 1942 to 1944 during the German occupation of the Netherlands in World War II. So, who is Anne Frank and why did she become so famous? Anne Frank was a teenager, a Jewish girl. She was staying in the Nazi occupied Holland, and she was hiding from the Nazis actually, and she was staying in a warehouse. It is from this place that she started writing her diary. And before writing her diary, she is giving us an idea as to why she decides to write a diary. So let's move on to the lesson. Writing a diary is really a strange experience for someone like me. So she is saying that writing a diary is a strange experience. Why is it strange for her? Because she has not been doing that till now and she has never written it. So that's why she says that it's a strange experience. And because she's staying in a warehouse, it's not very easy to write a diary. She's actually hiding from the Nazis at that time. So she's saying it's a strange experience for a person like me to write a diary. Not only because I've never written anything before, but also because it seems to me that later on, neither I nor anyone else will be interested in the musings of a 13-year-old schoolgirl. So she's saying that she has never written a diary before, and she's saying even if I write, neither I nor anyone else, and she will be interested in the musings. Musings means reflections, thoughts. So she's saying that even if I write a diary, nobody will be interested to look into these, especially because it's written by a 13-year-old schoolgirl. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. I feel like writing. So she's saying that I don't bother whether anybody is interested or not. I really feel like writing a diary. And I have an even greater need to get all kinds of things off my chest. So she's saying that she wants to write a diary because she wants to get all the things off my chest. What is that? Getting things off my chest. To relieve herself from keeping the secrets in her mind. So what do people usually do? They have friends, they talk to each other, they share their thoughts and all that. But maybe this girl doesn't have a very close friend. So she's saying that I want to write many things in my diary and keep my chest, my heart and my soul, everything free of thoughts. Okay. So paper has more patience than people. I thought of this saying on one of those days when I was feeling a little depressed and was sitting at home with my chin in my hands, bored and listless, wondering whether to stay in or go out. So she's saying that paper has more patience than people. What is the meaning of this statement? People may not be interested to listen to whatever you talk. Little while they'll sit with you, they'll talk, have fun and go. And they may not have all the patience to sit and hear all your musings. But paper has more patience because it cannot react, it cannot do anything, it will just keep quiet as much and it will take as much as you write. So she says that paper has more patience than people. So why did she think of this? Because one day she was sitting there in her home feeling depressed. She was feeling bored and listless means without any enthusiasm. And she was wondering whether to go out or stay inside. So she was feeling bored and she was wondering whether to sit inside or go out and have a talk, meet people, etc. I finally stayed where I was brooding. So I finally stayed. That means she was sitting inside. She did not go out. And what did she do? She was brooding. What is brooding? Worrying. Yes, paper does have more patience. And since I'm not planning to let anyone else read the stiff-backed notebook grandly referred to as a diary, unless I should ever find a real friend. So she had this deep thoughts about writing a diary. And what is she calling this diary? She's saying it is a stiff-backed notebook. And people refer to that as a diary. And she's saying that even if I write a diary, I will not let anybody read what I have written unless I find a real friend. So she does not have a real friend as of now. So she's saying that I will write all my thoughts in the diary. Unless I should ever find a real friend, and it probably won't make a bit of a difference. So she's saying whether I write a diary or not, it's not going to make a big difference at all right now. Now I'm back to the point that prompted me to keep a diary in the first place. Now she's going to tell us the reason why she really is going to write a diary. I don't have a friend. So as I told you, she does not have a friend. So that is why she has decided to write a diary. Let me put it more clearly. Since no one believes that a 13-year-old girl is completely alone in the world, and I am not. So she's saying that she's a 13-year-old girl and she says that she has no friend at all. But people will not believe this because she's a teenager and teenagers usually have a lot of friends. And she's saying that though I don't have a real friend, I am not completely alone. I have people around me. So she says that she has people around her. I have loving parents and a 16-year-old sister, and there are about 30 people I can call friends. So she has parents, she has a 16-year-old sister, and she also has other friends. I have a family, loving aunts, and a good home. So these many people are always around her. No, on the surface it seems I seem to have everything except my one true friend. So she's saying that though there are so many people around me, I have a good family, I have aunts, my parents, my sister, and many other friends, but still I don't have a real friend or a true friend. All I think about when I'm with friends is having a good time. So she's saying that I have many people around me, they're all friends, but then every time I am with them, I just want to enjoy the time. I can't bring myself to talk about anything but ordinary everyday things. So she's saying that though there are friends around me, I can't talk to them very intimately. I can't share all the secrets. I'm just able to talk ordinary everyday things. So we don't seem to be able to get any closer, and that's the problem. And she's saying that by just talking about everyday things, we are not able to get any closer. And she's saying that is the problem. She wants to have somebody very close to her, a close friend, a true friend. But then just talking about everyday things, she's not able to manage to have a close friend. So that is why she says that she's going to write a diary, because she can really clear her chest and she can get rid of all the thoughts from her mind. Maybe it's my fault and we don't confide in each other. So she is saying that what is the reason for not able to get closer to anyone? Because we don't confide in each other. What is confiding? Telling all the secrets to one another. So she's saying that maybe it's my fault. What is that her fault? She's not able to tell her secrets to anybody. So she's considering it her fault that she's not able to have a close friend. In any case, that's just how things are, and unfortunately they are not liable to change. And she's saying so that is how things are happening here, and this situation is not going to change at all. What situation is not going to change? That she's not going to get any close friend unless she or the others decide to confide in each other. That is why I have started the diary. So she's saying that is the reason I'm going to start writing a diary, because I don't have a close friend. To enhance the image of this long-awaited friend in my imagination, I don't want to jot down the facts in this diary that the way most people would do. But I want the diary to be my friend, and I'm going to call this friend Kitty. So she's saying that I don't want to make this diary just a diary and just jot down facts like other people do. I want to make it feel like a real friend, and this is going to be my long awaited friend. So I'm going to write down things in a different manner, just like how I'm going to confide things to a friend. So she's saying that she has decided to name the diary and call it as Kitty. So this diary is going to be her friend, and she has named this friend as Kitty. So who is Kitty? Kitty is the name of her diary, and she has named it so because that's going to be her best friend. Since no one would understand a word of my stories to Kitty if I were to plunge right in, I'd better provide a brief sketch of my life, much as I dislike doing so. So she's saying that if I start writing straight away, nobody is going to understand what I am writing. Plunge right in means to start right away. So first let me provide a brief sketch of my life. So she's saying that let me introduce myself, let me tell you something about my family, so then only you will all understand what I'm going to write in my diary. So my father, the most adorable father I have seen, didn't marry my mother until he was 36 and she was 25. So first she's talking about her father and mother. So she's telling that they got married when the father was 36 and the mother was 25. My sister Margaret was born in Frankfurt in Germany in 1926. So we know that she has a sister and she was born in 1926 and her name was Margaret. I was born on 12 June 1929. I lived in Frankfurt until I was 4. My father emigrated to Holland in 1933. So she's saying that she stayed in Frankfurt till she was 4 years old, and in 1933 her father went to Holland. My mother, Edith Hollander Frank, went with him to Holland in September, while Margaret and I were sent to Aachen to stay with our grandmother. So in 1933, the mother also went along with the father to Holland, whereas the children, Margaret and Annie, they were sent to Aachen to stay with their grandmother. So what is this Aachen? Aachen is nothing but a town in Germany. Okay. So Margaret went to Holland in December, and I followed in February when I was plunked down on the table as a birthday present for Margaret. So what happened? Margaret, her sister, went to Holland in December, and then she followed in February after 2 months. And when she went to Holland in February, it was actually a birthday present for her sister. Plunked down means given as a surprise. Her visit was a surprise and like a birthday gift to her sister Margaret. I started right away at the Montessori nursery school. I stayed there until I was 6, at which time I started in the first form. So as soon as she reached Holland, she went to the Montessori nursery school. And then she was there for 6 years, and then she started going to the first form. What is first form? Just like the first standard or the first grade. In the sixth form, my teacher was Mrs. Kuperes, the headmistress. So she's saying when she reached the sixth form, her teacher, Mrs. Kuperes, was the headmistress. At the end of the year, we were both in tears as we said a heartbreaking farewell. So they were so attached to each other, and at the end of the year, there was a very heartbreaking farewell because they loved each other so much. So they had to separate, and she says that it was a heartbreaking farewell, and both of them were in tears. Both of them started crying. In the summer of 1941, Grandma fell ill and had to have an operation. So my birthday passed with little celebration. So she's saying that in 1941, what happened to her grandmother? The grandmother was ill, and so she had to undergo an operation. And so she says that her birthday passed with little celebration. Little celebration means no celebration at all. So there was no birthday celebration for her. Grandma died in January 1942. And so she's saying the next year, 1942, her grandmother died. No one knows how often I think of her and still love her. So she says that she, even after the grandma's death, she always thinks of her grandmother and she loved her so much. This birthday celebration in 1942 was intended to make up for the other. So she's saying that the birthday celebration in 1942, they decided to have a good celebration because last year they never had the celebration because of the illness of the grandmother. And grandma's candle was lit along with the rest. So on her birthday, she's saying that she lit a candle not only for the grandmother but other ancestors or relatives who were dead. The four of us are still doing well, and that brings me to the present date of 20 June 1942 and the solemn dedication of my diary. And she's saying that the four of us, who are the four of us now there? The father, mother, she and her sister. So she's saying that they're all doing well now, and she's saying that on this date, 20 June 1942, and the solemn dedication of my diary. So she's saying that this date is very important because on this date she has started to write her diary, and that was a solemn dedication means sincere dedication to her diary.